Ramadan is a month of change, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah said, indeed Allah does not change the situation and the state of a people until they change their own state. And if you look at the month of Ramadan, everybody has changed their state in the month of Ramadan. It's an absolute change. The times when we were normally eating, we've stopped eating. And the times when we were normally asleep, we're standing and praying Tarawih. And the times when we wouldn't be attending the masjids, we're attending the masjid. The time when we would be engrossed in our worldly affairs, we try to be engaged with the Quran and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of this is showing us what? A change. And changes in normalities and in norms are very important. And the scholars have described miracles that are granted to the friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as karamat. And those karamat are defined as kharqul aadat, as the breaking and the changing of norms. It's as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants every believing person to become from His friends in the month of Ramadan, so He has broken their norms for them for the entire month. It's as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, you can make it. You can become from His friends. You can be like those elect people who all year round make their days and nights like Ramadan. If you can do it in Ramadan, you can do it out of Ramadan. If you sense and realize the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon you in the month of Ramadan, that all day long you've gone without food and drink, that's a breaking of a norm. Allah is giving you a miracle. If you've prayed your Isha and you've stood for 20 rak'at of Tarawih, that's a breaking of an enormous norm. When you're normally either asleep or watching television or doing this and that, now you're on the mat worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that description matches who? That description matches the descriptions of the elect awliya Allah, the elect friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows that upon every single believing person in the month of Ramadan without them doing anything for it. You know, the friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they strive all year round to make sure that they're fasting every day of the year, that they're standing every night of the year, praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a big struggle, it's a big strive. But in the month of Ramadan, Allah makes it easy for all of the believing people to break out of all of those norms and turn to Him in humility and in humbleness. So we have to sense that. We have to realize that. And what's that? That's the change that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places within us. And that's something very important. And that is that without creating a change within ourselves, there's no reaching of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So long as we carry on with our norms, so long as we carry on in the ways that we behave, in the ways that we conduct our lives, and we don't want to break out of those comfort zones and strive for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then there's no reaching. And Ramadan is an example of that. When people break out of all of those norms, they feel a closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They feel a sense of blessings descending. And in the month of Ramadan, every believing person, the children from the homes of the believing people, the adults, the men, the women, everybody feels that there's something different in the atmosphere, that something's going on, something's descending from the heavens upon the believing people in the month of Ramadan. It's sensing that and realizing that will make a person continue with that change even after the month of Ramadan. For example, on the day of Eid, when food is placed in front of us and we start eating at 10 o'clock after we prayed our Eid prayer, it feels weird. You feel, I don't need this food. Why am I eating at this time? I don't eat at this time. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the day of Eid. Why? For us to realize the blessings of the month of Ramadan. Nobody can fast on the day of Eid. You're not allowed to fast on the day of Eid. You know why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to differentiate the month of Ramadan from the rest of the days of the year. So hence He created the day of Eid after Ramadan, so nobody fasts on that day. No friend of Allah, no wali of Allah, no prophet fasted on the day of Eid. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted the day of Eid to be the differentiator between the days of Ramadan and other days, the days of change in believing people and in the days of their normality, so that they recognize something's changed here, something's different here. What do I want? Do I want this, that which I have normally in my daily life? Or do I want Ramadan all year round with me? And it's those people who choose Ramadan all year round that have a change within themselves, that feel a sense of advancement and enhancement in their spiritual life, in their mental life, in their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the month of Ramadan for us to change ourselves. And how? The greatest change that we've made is the change of our stomachs, and that's one of the toughest changes. And then the change of giving up our sleep. And then look at this, that all year round the friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wake up at tahajjud time and they put their mats out and they stand before Allah and they pray. Sayyidina Khalid ibn al-Walid radiyallahu anhu, he used to say, my best evening and my best night is an extremely freezing, cold, dark night when it's pouring down with rain and I break out of my sleep and perform wudu with cold water and stand before Allah. The friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's what they do at that time to seek the blessings of Allah and the mercy of Allah and the forgiveness of Allah that descends at that time. Allah is saying to us, if you can't get up at that time to stand and pray, then I'm going to make you get up just to fill your stomachs. I'm going to make you get up to fill your stomachs at that particular time, so that you sense through eating, so that you sense through food the immense and intense blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that descend at that time of the night, when Allah's mercy descends to the sky of the earth and says, هَلْ مِن مُسْتَغْفِرٍ فَأَغْفِرَ لَهُ. Is there anybody asking for forgiveness that I may forgive them? هَلْ مِن مُسْتَرْزِقٍ فَأَرْزُقَهُ. Is there anybody asking for sustenance and rizq that I may pour my rizq out for them? هَلْ مِن مُسْتَرْحِمٍ فَأَرْحَمَهُ. Is there anybody asking for my mercy so that I may pour my mercy over them? That's a time of acceptance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted all of us to wake up in. And perhaps, and Allah knew that some of us wouldn't get up unless there was an appetizer for us to get up for our stomachs. So Allah said, fine, get up and eat, and even your eating at that time will become blessed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changed our day, He changed our night, He made change in every moment of the month of Ramadan in our lives, in the normalities of our lives. Why? To teach us it's this change that you need to constantly create within yourself to draw close to Allah, to draw close to the afterlife, to become people who understand their purpose upon the earth. They need to become people of change. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that through the breakings of our norms in the month of Ramadan, that He raises our ranks to the elect and high friends of His that have this state all year round.